So today we're going to tap in to the age-old rivalry between the Bronx and Brooklyn. This dates back to when Brooklyn had a baseball team, the Brooklyn Dodgers versus the New York Yankees from the Bronx. And it exists even today between the New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets. It also goes into music. Which borough creates the best creative artists? And even in hip-hop, which borough creates the best lyricists? As if there's something in the water that makes one borough more creative than the other. Understand, this is all friendly rivalry. There's no real bigotry or hatred towards any one of the boroughs, because at the end of the day, we're all united in being New York City. We're all together. In 2012, the New York Times wrote an article, "Why Can't the Bronx Be More Like Brooklyn?" And this was the title of the article. And after I read it, I was still a little offended. Because this implies that there's something wrong with the Bronx. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that there are things that need to be worked on, but really, do we really need to compare ourselves to our brothers or sisters? I mean, has that ever worked when a mom says you should be more like your brother? No, it just creates animosity. So I took it to the streets and we asked people what they thought. Should the Bronx be more like Brooklyn?
If they ain't paying you what they say, don't listen. Cause while we making dreams come true, they still wishing.
Do you think the Bronx should be more like Brooklyn?
Nah, Brooklyn is Brooklyn, the Bronx is Bronx.
I don't want anything to do with Brooklyn. You need 2 passports to get to Brooklyn.
No. I don't know much about Brooklyn. I haven't been in Brooklyn too much.
So you like the Bronx the way it is?
Bros, yeah, I like it.
Well, honestly, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, because don't get me wrong. Born and bred in Bronx, Lebanon, but I've lived in Brooklyn, and it's more family oriented.
No. The Bronx should stay the Bronx. The Bronx.
Excellent. There you go. You heard it.
Thank you. I have to go back
All
to
right.
work.
No, because I don't know nothing about Brooklyn.
Okay, fair enough.
Brooklyn is just, leave Brooklyn, let them do their own thing. The Bronx has come a long way in a short period of time.
No, we have our own type of culture. Brooklyn, I think, is trying to do its city thing. You know, if you want to have fun in the Bronx, there's plenty of places you could go to in the Bronx. I mean, we got great colleges in the Bronx. You got Fordham, you got Mount St. Vincent. You got plenty of bars you can go to.
You know, the Bronx is a forgotten area, you know, but we're trying to bring the culturistic aspects back to it.
You're telling me you're from where again?
I'm from Bed-Stuy. I'm from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn.
All right, and now you're in the Bronx.
Now I'm in the Bronx.
There's been this history that people have left, just fled the Bronx. But I think it was this year, 2012, 2013, more people entered the borough than left. How do you feel about that?
I feel like it has more to do with the cost in the Bronx, because I know the cost is a little cheaper now. Well, cheaper in the sense of the economy we're living in. Right. But I think people coming into the Bronx is a great thing. You know, it's just making the family bigger. That's what the Bronx is, just a big family.
Awesome. I think it's a great thing for the Bronx. There's been a lot of people, especially there's few of my doctor friends, nurse friends. They've all moved up from Westchester into the Bronx.
Excellent.
Because it's a lot, easier, as far as transportation. They don't have to buy a car.
Right.
The buses are, running every 5-10 minutes. It's great.
Brooklyn is Brooklyn as far as they have their culture, they have their swag. We have our own culture, we have our own swag. So I don't think we should be them, they should be us, we should be our own.
What I do think Brooklyn is doing, Brooklyn's making a whole younger atmosphere.
Yeah, a whole different group of people, the hipsters, hipster culture. Do you think the Bronx needs hipsters?
No, we have our own culture. It's just we got to focus more on making it possible for people to have fun over here.
But no, I mean, the Bronx, honestly, is on an uprise. There's a lot of bad, negative ideas about us here in the Bronx.
Don't get me wrong. Brooklyn has its crime like the Bronx does.
Right.
So
now let me ask you this, because a lot of times the media, right, the way that the media perceives us is a little different, right? They're telling people that it's scary or dangerous to come over here to the Bronx. Right. What do you say to that?
I mean, you have to pick your right friends, Depends on who you hang out with. If you hang out with the right crowd, then those negative people won't even try to bother you. Now, if you're hanging around with the wrong crowd that likes to be loud and walking around the street being loud and like the attention, then those people are the people that they're gonna attract. They attract. Those people will attract the negative.
Right. If you believe in positivity and looking for change for the good, that happened too, because you see whites, blacks, all in the Bronx, just as well as Harlem. So when it comes down to the whole thing, it's just like what you asked me, you know, what do I see? I see a little bit of change, but you still see a little bit of uprising of negativity also. You understand?
My whole purpose of moving out of Brooklyn is to, better myself. So I could say it's diverse in the sense of the area in which, it's not really too much people hanging out. You know what I mean, selling drugs and stuff like that. So and I got away from Brooklyn to to escape all of that. You understand?
The Bronx should be more like the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? Every 5 boroughs is doing what they have to do to keep their print on their borough. But at the end of the day, I feel like the Bronx is doing what it's supposed to do. It's from the interior, like people like us that see what's going on, the community work, you coming out and showing love to the community to get their feedback and show their community and give their inspiration back. So the exterior people don't get to see it. So they're gonna have their judgment on anything. But for me, what I see from the Bronx, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do.
I think the Bronx doesn't need to be more like Brooklyn. I think the Bronx needs to be the Bronx. If you notice, if you think about Brooklyn and this quote-unquote positive changes, this has all happened from outsiders. Unlike what we're doing here within the borough, everybody that's made Brooklyn, that's helped popularize Brooklyn, are mostly from outside of Brooklyn. They found a good place to set up shop. They went ahead and they set up shop, and now there's been a boom. But here within the borough, I don't think we'd allow that, personally, right? As a Bronxite, I think that we need to find it. It needs to happen from the inside out. And it happening from the inside, the only thing we can do is proudly showcase to the world what's happening here. We can't have other people come in and try to figure it out for us. I think we have a good enough sense of it, and with having a good enough sense of it, it's our turn to do it.
That's doing their thing, doing their job on day grind, consistent. If they ain't paying you what they say, don't listen. 'Cause while we make it